30, so get this party started. So I want to convene this meeting of the Board of Directors for the San Lorenzo Valley Water District for October 16th, 2025. Leah, would you take roll, please?
President Smalley,
Here.
Vice President Lane,
Here.
Director Fultz,
Here.
Director Largay,
Yes.
and Director Russ.
Yes.
All right, board is present.
Okay. Any changes to the closed sessions?
There are no changes.
Okay. Oral communication from the public. I see no members of I see one member of the public online. And nobody here. I don't see anybody with their hand up, so don't see anybody commenting. So with that, we can adjourn to closed session.
We're unmuted. Your microphone on.
So I have 6:30. We'll go ahead and get this meeting restarted. I'd like to reconvene this meeting for the Board of Directors for the San Lorenzo Valley Water District for August 16th, 2025. Leah, would you take roll again?
President Smalley,
Here?
Vice President Lane,
Here.
Director Foltz,
Here.
Director Largay,
Yes.
and Director Russ.
Here.
All right, all board is present.
Okay. Any changes? Oh, let me go back first. We do have the board took action on one item as part of the closed session. The board voted unanimously to direct our general manager to pay a claim to the tune of $1,060 to Franklin Roast for property damage that they incurred during the water leak. So we took no other actions on the other two items. And with that, any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Okay, oral communications. This portion of the meeting is for members of the public that want to address something within the jurisdiction of the district that's not on the agenda this evening. If anybody wishes to comment period time is limited to 3 minutes. Does anybody from the public wish to comment something? Seeing none, we will then proceed. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, the Highland Tank Construction Contract Award.
Are we presented by here?
Thank you, President Smalley. The matter before the board is for the award of the construction contract for the Highland Tank Replacement Project to Corcus Construction Incorporated. The district developed engineering plans with City Miller Engineering for the Highland Tank Replacement Project that includes a new 120,000 gallon bolted steel tank at our existing tank site along Highland Drive. In addition to the tank, there's also associated yard piping, drainage improvements, fencing, paving, and a Soldier Green debris wall around the tank. The district received 5 total bids for the construction contract. 2 of the bids were in excess of $2 million. 2 of the bids were approximately $1.5 million. The low bidder was Corcus Construction in the amount of $1,033,099. The district has previous experience working with Corcus Construction. They recently completed the temporary pipeline on the California 9 Bridges project north of Boulder Creek, across the bridge over the San Lorenzo River and the bridge across Kings Creek. The district received 3 bids for that project. Disney Construction provided a bid of over $1 million. Castellion Company provided a bid of over $700,000, and Corcus had provided a bid of $400,400. At that time, the district reached out to some of the references provided, and Corcus received glowing reviews for the work that they had done from their references. The district proceeded with the construction contract. We were able to complete the temporary pipeline on time, on budget, and it's currently in use by the district. So that was a very good experience for staff. Corcus was sure to review the project specifications, ask intelligent questions, and completed the work in a timely manner. District staff has also reached out to an additional one of the references for the Webster Drive hydropneumatic tank replacement project in Martinez. This was a $732,000 contract. And they got a good review from that reference as well, saying that there was a delay in the manufacturing of the hydropneumatic tank, but nothing that Corcus had done inappropriately on that project, and that they were quite pleased with the work. Staff also reached out to Superior Tank because the bids had a wide range of prices for the bolted steel tank. Superior Tank indicated that if we were looking to get the tank manufactured, delivered, and erected, the cost would be approximately $185,000. In Corcus's bid, they bid the tank erection, the manufacturing and erection of the tank at $255,000. This is a 40% increase from their cost. The next lowest bidder is Anderson Pacific. They quoted it at $343,000 for the tank manufacture and erection. This is 185% of the tank manufacturer's cost. The general contractor does have to account for other costs when they put a bid together with their office staff, with the bonds and all the miscellaneous administration work that they have to provide. So it's expected that there is a markup on bid items. But if the district had only gotten a single bid for over $2 million, that would have been an excessive amount of money to pay for a tank that only costs $185,000 to erect. Corcus is fairly new in the construction field, and so I think that is the reason why they have such a competitive bid. And staff is recommending that we proceed with the low bid with Corcus Construction for the construction of Highland Tank. Staff is also recommending that we authorize a 10% or $100,000 for the general manager to approve possible change orders. In the past, we've had projects where we have additional steel plate rentals. We've had to do a hydrant relocation. These can cost, $6,270 for hydrant relocation, $5,828 for additional steel plate rentals. These matters have to be brought to the board if the general manager is authorized to accept up to $100,000, we could take care of these change orders expeditiously at the general manager's judgment. I think that's pretty much sums up everything that I wanted to present to the board. And if there's any additional questions at this time, I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Okay, all right. Director Fultz, why don't we start with you? On this one.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of questions since Gary, you covered a lot of the ones I was going to ask, which is, can we really trust these guys to build a tank? Do they have any experience doing it? And it sounds like they do. And Martinez, correct? Was it the same technology?
It's a hydropneumatic tank. It's a little different than a bolted steel tank. However, Corcus Construction will not be constructing the tank. What they will do is prepare the site so that the tank manufacturer can
come in and do it,
deliver and erect the tank.
Okay.
And I would also like to point out that this was a similar effort was done for the replacement of Blue Tank. This was in 2019, where we had to provide additional piers on an existing foundation. We hired Don Chapin to do that for us, and then we directly contracted with Superior Tank to erect the 65,000 gallon tank at a cost of $123,239 to the district.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that they came in so low. The first thing you think when it comes in like that is, what's the catch? Or is there an issue here that we are aware of? Are they biting off more than they can chew? We have had experience with companies that have done that on other projects. But it sounds like these guys really have their act together. And it's always great to see new people come into the marketplace. We've been paying some pretty high prices here recently. And it's nice to get a win where one isn't quite as high as we were anticipating. I do have to say, just for interest of transparency, I live directly across from the tank location. So I don't get a lot of really good pressure. I have to put in a pressure pump. But I've already talked to the attorney about this, and there's no conflict of interest here since it's a general purpose thing for the entire pressure zone, of which there's several dozen. Actually, I think there's 120 something or 150 people on that pressure zone. So I'm just one of the entire community. I did have a question about the gate. Will this also include moving the gate further up the road so that when district vehicles come to the site, they're not in the roadway as they're getting out and getting the gate open?
Yes, the gate's gonna be moved back.
Okay. And far enough for whatever truck or vehicle we might actually want to bring up there.
Yes, it should be sufficient for the fire truck to pull up to the gate.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Because that has been a issue in the past for the community. Other than that, no, I think we're ready to go. I do have on the tank, I do have mixed feelings about the change order, nothing personal or anything, but that's a lot of money. We have had situations where change orders have involved further discussion at a board level on substantive issues. So I don't know. Let me think about that a little bit more.
Director Russ?
Thank you. Yeah, I was certainly struck, as it sounds like all of us were, with the price. Because the range was from there basically million to 2.5 million, right? Was the high one, and that's just a remarkable range. Bidding the same package, same engineering drawings, right?
Yes, the high bid was $2,325,905. I would like to point out that the high bidder did not attend the pre-bid meeting. It was an optional pre-bid meeting, and the two lowest bidders did attend.
Oh.
I was going to ask you what your thoughts were on why such a big range. So not attending the pre-bid, maybe they missed out on some critical insights, or
Yes, so I would say sometimes construction companies, they might not necessarily really be hungry and really wanting the job as much as the next company. And they give you a price where they feel comfortable that they'll make sufficient profit. And if you get in a situation where you only get one bid, it's really hard to award those contracts because you don't know if it's a reasonable price or if they're really giving you the I don't want it price.
right? If you force me, I'll do it.
For 2 million.
2 million, yeah. Okay, and then is this the first tank we're building out of the $4.5 million grant? or-
This would be the second
Second.
tank. Yeah, the first tank is the Blue Ridge tank. It's currently in service. That was built by JMB Construction as part of our 2021 CIP project.
All right, and so we have to match 25% on top of the $1,033,000 as our contribution to the grant.
So the grant is a $4.5 million grant and we have a $1.5 million match. So it is a 25%. Yes.
Okay, and so when does that occur, I guess?
It occurs, we actually provide the money initially to pay the contractor and then we're reimbursed by Department of Water Resources.
And I certainly hope that's on a faster schedule than FEMA.
It's approximately 2 to 3 months for reimbursement.
Okay, great.
All right.
And it's also a 6-month duration. I noticed you pushed back the start to, oh, actually it's 8/29. Has that now been pushed farther ahead?
So initially, we had a 180-day contract time. We issued an addendum. We actually issued 3 addendums, but in the first addendum, we allowed additional time of 300 calendar days. This would allow the contractor to do a lot of the submittal paperwork and material procurement in the rainy season and do the site work and the tank erection in the summertime. If the contract time starts once we issue the notice to proceed. So the first step we have to do is issue the notice of award. Then the contractor has 10 days to execute the contract documents. Once we have the executed contract documents, the district has a 60-day time period to issue the notice to proceed, which starts contract time. If we can get the notice to proceed out in January, the 300 calendar days will be up in September or October.
Okay, I was wondering about the winter season. Okay, so that's how that's being handled.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay, no, that's great. All right, no, that's it for my questions. Thank you.
Alina?
I appreciate all your reference checkings and due diligence on this. You said with one of our things that we did, we contracted directly with Superior Tank. I'm just curious
Yeah.
why we wouldn't do this in this instance to save the money.
Staff is very excited to directly contract with Superior Tank and to even possibly have construction crew as part of the engineering department and do in-house construction. Similar to what we did on Brookside Drive. And we're going to do on P Line.
Okay. In the future.
I'm ready.
You're,
Okay. There you go.
Okay, Jason.
okay.
But that's not what we have in front of us.
No,
this evening.
well, I
point
would
that
just
out,
found this,
Garrett. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, thank you. That was a lot of good information.
Brian?
I don't have questions. I found the information complete and compelling. For my part, I'm comfortable with the premise of having pre-authorized not to exceed change orders. I think that really helps a lot with efficiency and confidence going into the project to get it done. And I think at 10%, that's not an unreasonable buffer at this stage of the project. I'm good to go.
Okay. I appreciate the additional information that you provided to us beyond what was in the memo. Answered a lot of other questions. Couple of things I did want to, and I like the fact that of what you responded as far as the change in timing. I think it's smart to get the contract in place, allowing them to do, just as you said, a lot of the prep work during the wet weather. Be ready to go and hit the ground come as soon as dry season starts. So good. That's appropriate. Also, on Corcus, yes, they're not a company that has been in business long, but when I look at all of the company's individual experience for their management and for their staff, they do have long-term construction experience just with a different company under Ranger Pipelines. So who I recognize, and they do good work, and they're out with working for City of Santa Cruz right now on Graham Hill. So Corcus staff comes with a lot of experience, but I did have concerns about this. You checked references for a tank. So is it too good to be true? You've done all the due diligence for Corcus. I'm comfortable with the information that you provided to us now. So good. Okay. One question though. You said we have a tank from Superior Tanks. The other 2 bidders that were at 1.5 million have a different tank vendor. And both of their bids were, I don't know, on the order of 150,000 more for the tank alone. Superior Tank's okay?
Yes, so we've used Superior Tank at our Blue Tank site.
Right.
All the Lompico tanks are manufactured by Superior Tank.
Okay.
That's a total of 6 tanks.
Right.
That bid was for 2 million.
Okay.
$212,250.
So, yes, we do have good experience with that manufacturer. of
Yes.
Tanks then. Okay, that's where my question was going. Yeah.
We use Superior Tanks in Ridgecrest to erect 4 tanks for our arsenic plants, and they did a good job.
Okay, good. Okay, all right. Well, then before we consider a motion, I want to hear from the public as to whether public has any comments on this item. Seeing none in the room
I do have one additional
and
question.
none online, we'll go back to the board.
Yeah, one additional question. The change order would also be covered in reimbursement from DWR, right?
Yes.
Garrett? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay, all right. Then I move that the board direct the general manager to execute the notice of award for the Highland tank replacement to Corcus Construction for the bid price in the amount not to exceed $1,033,099 and authorize the general manager to execute change orders for the construction of the Highland tank replacement with Corcus Construction in the amount not to exceed 100,000.
President Smolley.
Oh, I'll second.
Need a second? Yes. We did. Yes,
Do we second?
Alina seconded it.
Back to voting.
Yes.
President Smolley,
Yes.
Vice President Lee,
Yes.
Director Foltz,
Yes.
Director Hargay,
Yes.
and Director Russ.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next we have the watershed education grant.
That will be presented by Chris.
Yeah, thank you. So this item is the Watershed Grant Program. Now, this is a program that's been around, apparently began in 2004. And the goal is to kind of educate the public about the watershed, as well as improve the health of the watershed. This program went away in around 2019. But before that, it was budgeting between $15,000 and $17,000. Not supporting classroom education, science camps, public education in general. It was doing good work. So we recommend that we bring this program back. We have $2,500 budgeted per fiscal year for the next 2 fiscal years for this purpose. And so with that, we have kind of gone through and revised the program in general. So major changes include a updated mission statement, and that focuses more on community relations, making sure that this is educating the public, but also using it for our purposes to connect with the public and make sure that we're having a good public image. Additional changes include removing the research grant. We found that the research grant was not used as much or was not as impactful when it was used. And so the education grant is the one that is left as the option. And then the other thing, as I mentioned, is that funding level change for these first 2 years, as we only have $2,500 per year rather than the previous, 15 to 20. This item was brought to the administration committee 3 times this year. Discussion centered on kind of how we were going to run the program, the logistics of that. And we updated 3 documents associated with the actual running of the program, the administration of it. And those are attached to the memo. And basically the environmental department will be running this program and providing reporting back to the environmental committee and the board should this be approved to move forward. So with that, I will take any questions.
Okay, since you said this came through the administration committee, I'd like to hear from them first. Alina?
Yeah, like as Chris said, the admin committee, they worked really hard to revamp this program, and we had it on the agenda several times and received some excellent public feedback, and it was overwhelmingly supported by all of our committee members. So I really want to take a moment to reflect on SLVWD's mission statement. I'm going to read a little part of it, and it says to provide reliable, safe, and high-quality water and to protect the environmental health of our aquifers and watersheds for future generations. So for me, you know, one question kind of naturally follows that, like, how do we accomplish that without investing in the next stewards of the watershed? And the Watershed Education Grants Program is how we bring that mission to life. You know, it helps us connect local students and community members to the source of their water and helps them understand how fragile and vital this system is. And it, you know, it inspires them to care for it. And these programs create future scientists and leaders and community members who will continue to work, continue the work, you know, that we've dedicated ourselves to. And so by supporting watershed education, we're not just funding a program, you know, we're planting that seed for stewardship that will protect this valley for generations to come. And this is really how our mission becomes more than just words. You know, this is how we ensure the San Lorenzo Valley's water and its people continue to thrive together. I know that cost is going to be a concern for this, but I believe coming to the admin committee, we're going to be reviewing the Miller-Maxwell contract. We have a lot stronger staffing in place. And so we're in a good position to, you know, bring more of that work kind of in-house and save money on that. And also by shifting from paying someone to kind of just post stuff on our behalf and taking a more hands-on approach to public relations, we not only reduce the cost, but we also like strengthen our direct connection with the community. And so I feel like this approach will help us build a more meaningful partnerships and engagement, you know, kind of moving forward, you know, and just to be said, this is a very kind of standard program across a lot of water districts. And, you know, as Chris said, this was previously funded about 17,000 and we're just asking for 2,500, which was already included in the budget that this board approved. So this is just the framework for that funding that's already been allocated. And then as far as for you, Chris, I did see a couple things in there. The very first line of the frequently asked question, there wasn't a period. And then you kind of alluded to this here, but it says admin committee will be reviewing the documents, but the motion says the environmental committee will be reviewed. And I know we kind of had a last minute change then. So we're going to be reviewing it in admin and then giving it to the environmental. Is that what you were saying?
I can bring it to whatever committee.
I mean,
would recommend.
either's fine.
Yeah, I mean, the admin committee was heavily involved in the creation of kind of the revitalization of this program. So I'd be happy to bring it to the admin committee.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
that's really all I have.
Okay. Director Russ, you're on the admin committee now also.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear your comments.
Yeah. Alina, I appreciate that overview, the really thorough summary of both sort of the broader mission that we have, as well as you know, what we would be trying to do. I had because it is 2,500 per year. Chris, are you imagining that would really just be one grant, or are you thinking it's going to be a couple, or?
Yeah,
It's a lot of work, right? Yeah, and we had gotten, I think, 25,000 or 27,000 worth of proposals in past years, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work that someone's going to go to maybe get half that amount or 2,500. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would envision it's either one or two, depending on, you know, what we receive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also envision this as kind of a, as you mentioned, it is a small sum. I kind of see this as a test, like a pilot, to kind of getting the program, making sure that it makes sense for our community and for our district. So yeah.
I just answered his
I-
thing because it was in the admin before he got there. Oh, you can come. I can answer
Okay.
it later. But
Yeah.
All right.
Let's continue here.
I'm good. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, that's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Director Foltz?
Yeah, this is like the vampire program. I can't put a stake through it. This was born out of the Waterman Gap sale that took place a couple decades ago. resulted in about $10 million to the district. And as part of that, the rationale was to take some of that money and put it into this grant program, which unfortunately over the years morphed into quite the boondoggle. Maybe that won't happen here. I don't know, but these things tend, when you start giving money away, public money away, things start changing. And it became a real flashpoint that in 2018 resulted in a group of people, including myself, basically saying we're going to stop giving money away like this and instead focus on the core mission of the district, which is getting infrastructure in place. Over the life of the program, we spent about the same amount of money as coating a tank. And of course, during that time, we weren't coating any tanks, even though all the tanks were outside of their maintenance life. So to me, this is one of those sort of, shell game things where, well, it's just a small amount of money. But that's the thing. What you're really saying here is you're accepting the principle that a public agency like ourselves should be giving money away for these purposes, which in the past included the Bananas Flug String Band, which very fine band, but what's the point of giving them $2,500 to do 2 or 3 performances? This is a real problem. Not only is it from the principal point of view, but time point of view. If our staff is working on anything other than getting infrastructure into the ground or tanks, we got a problem because we are so far behind in that, it is not funny. Now, from a procedural point of view, as I was doing some research in this, preparing for the meeting, I ran across something that I didn't know that I probably should have known, given that I've been on the board for as long as I have. Are we familiar with Ordinance 100? Okay. Ordinance 100 is the ordinance that actually establishes the education program under which grants were executed. It's an entire ordinance that talks about even having an advisory commission, which I guess these are things we probably should have been doing since it's an ordinance, and I don't believe has been repealed. Where this committee gets together, advises on the grants, has meetings, which of course would become effectively another committee, would require, the same kind of infrastructure that the committees require, has terms of office, has powers and duties, which even advises the general manager on things. It's an entire process here. So I'm not sure how all this is going to work together if we have this ordinance under which the grants were being offered and you're talking about bringing it back. It seems to me that you would need to do it either through modification of this ordinance, a repeal of this ordinance, and replace with whatever the new program is, or just following what the ordinance is that was passed in 2003. So that's not clear to me. And if that wasn't even part of the discussions during the process, then I'd have a problem with it in general anyway. The feeling of the community at the time, given the amount of money that was being spent and the principle that we were giving money away, was very negative. I had, other than the insiders that benefited from the educational grant program, I had nobody say we needed to bring them back after it was repealed. In fact, a lot of people said, thank you for getting rid of the boondoggle. Go focus on doing infrastructure. So, yeah, there's a lot of things here. I appreciate the great words and the intent and all the rest of it. I didn't see that Scotts Valley had one. I didn't see Santa Cruz had one. I think Soquel Creek has something, but it's specifically tied around conservation, I believe. At least in the community, this is not sort of a widespread thing that everybody's doing. It was, I think, originally something that our district did uniquely. So, yeah, I mean, at this point in time, I'm definitely a no on this. I don't see any reason to bring this back. We had this conversation back in 2019 about the efficacy of it, the principle of giving money away. And over time, of course, the amount of money given away will grow, right? It'll be the same as other programs where you start small, you accept the principle, you start small, and then over time it works. So no, this is not a good thing for us to be diverting staff attention, no matter what the amount of money is, into a program that is not going to deliver what we really need to do to get our infrastructure back in shape.
Okay. Well, I also took a look at the mission statement as part of my evaluation for this request. Our mission is to provide customers and future generations with reliable, safe, and high-quality water at an equitable price. And the equitable price is something that I feel that everybody here, that we as a board should be striving for. We just raised rates in a year and a half ago in 2024 in March. We went out and we asked the customers, our ratepayers, for more money. And now I'm being asked to approve giving some of your money as a ratepayer away as a donation. I have difficulty with that aspect of this. We're giving away, and I know it's not a lot of money, but I share and Chris, you're pointing it out. Well, we're going to start small to see, how this works and if this is, and what I suspect is, well, the first year we're going to get 6 or 8 or 10 submissions for this, and we're only going to be able to fund 2 of them. And then, well, now that we got that many, there's a lot of interest for more money out there. So it's gonna expand. Between that, and I also have a concern for the amount of staff time this is a very well put together package in front of us. And I think a fair amount of work put into the applications and everything that's in front of us here. And then the follow-on for if you get 6 or 8 or however many applications that you get just in tracking that. So for all of that, I am very conflicted, but I don't think I can support this either. So
Could I
with
comment?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
I should have.
No problem.
I should have gone to you first.
Yeah, not a worry. That you always go last is a courtesy, but not a necessary one. Great, thank you. So my review of this proposal is, I think it's entirely reasonable. I think it's well structured and thought out. And the reason I think this is because we have surface water as one of our primary resources. And the principle of watershed management is that by protecting your watershed, you protect your water. And it is vastly more efficient to prevent pollution than it is to clean it up. The reality is that, so I hike in Fall Creek Park. There's a drainage, one of the drainages off Felton Empire, where there's a whole collection of cars that back in the day would get pushed off Felton Empire into the canyon, and they're all rusting there. And the batteries and the oil and the rest of it, it's not a pretty sight. Those were the old days. One of the reasons why we don't do that a whole lot anymore is because we have education, we have outreach, we have communication around responsibly living in a watershed. And actually, you know, it's funny to mention the Bayonet Select String Band. Last time I saw them perform was at San Lorenzo Valley Elementary School, and there were 500 kids out on the Field of Dreams, as they call their little half soccer field there, listening and dancing and singing along to this stuff. And the opportunity there is for a pretty cheap investment to have a greater likelihood that those 500 kids and their families are going to be that much less likely to pollute the watershed. And it's pretty easy to put that bad stuff down the drain, to handle your used motor oil poorly, to use pesticides and fertilizers in excess. And we're really, really lucky to have an intact, healthy watershed and a community of people who generally care about it. Now, we also have a high flux, you know, people move out, people move in, people forget, people have other priorities. And so having a drumbeat of messaging around environmental stewardship is good practice, best practice for good watershed management. And at 2,500 a year, that's 1/5,000th of our budget. If it were 5 times bigger, it would be 1/1,000th of our budget. Those are very small numbers. And so I think the framing of this as a giveaway is misleading. I think it's an investment in community education. To that point, I would encourage, if you proceed, that the request for proposals be thought through and highly structured, so that you're not, if you don't if you want to support certain types of activities and you think that there are certain messages that are important for the district, or certain modalities, if this is replacing social media or Miller Maxfield services in any way, be strategic about what those messages are and how we want to leverage community partners to be our messenger. I think it's a very efficient, I mean, these guys bill their time at, you know, $20 an hour because they're, you know, they're usually nonprofits or teachers or something. And they don't realize that there are others in the game that bill their time at $200 an hour. So I think that focusing on what kinds of messages we want and leveraging the opportunity to have community members volunteer a lot of their time with a little bit of funding to be our messenger is a pretty efficient way to make stuff happen that will save us money and problems in the future, because keeping the watershed clean is very important. I am sensitive to the staff time and the challenges there, and my that's the other reason why having a tightly restricted box that all the proposals need to fit in will hopefully winnow the field down, so you're not getting a whole lot of proposals, you're just getting a few, and they're giving you what you want, and people aren't proposing off the wall stuff that you're not going to fund anyways. So, right, that's my 2 cents on it.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
I'd like to hear from the public on this issue before I come back to the board. So, does anybody from the public wish to speak? Please come up to the mic, and if you can let us know who you are. And we do have a clock.
Hi, I'm
Thank you.
Cheryl Adams, and I've been a member of the administrative committee since January. So I'm one of the people who've been working on the paperwork for the proposal. And so we're pretty invested in getting this thing rolling. I do agree that high quality water at an equitable price is important and part of the mission statement, but so as to manage and protect the environmental health of the aquifers and the watershed. So that's the piece that we're trying to focus on of the mission statement for these little projects. I was happy to see that we have the positions in place to be able to administer these grants once they're put together. But I do want to remind everybody that the administration committee did put a lot of work into this, and we are still available to help with the review of these proposals as they come in. We have offered that. So that's something that's also available as a way to reduce staff impact for getting these things up and running. And we'll continue to do that if this continues in future years. So education is important. It's part of our mission. And we have staff that are ready and willing and able to administer these grants. I do want to say that I think this is going to be really positive as far as a PR for the water district. And it's important that we have good relations with the public. And so this is one way to do it. There's going to be people who are going to talk about it and the impact of it. So, and it's going to be positive. I have to say, as a child, I went to a outdoor education program funded not through the water district, but you know, being a poor child, my parents wouldn't have been able to afford to send me. But going for a week camping trip and learning about outdoor education was an eye-opener for me. And it would be life-changing for other kids as well, if we were able to provide that. Like Alina said, it does grow a next generation of environmental stewards. And I think it's important that we think beyond just us, that we also think about who's going to be the next, you know, board, and how are we going to grow those people in our community. This is a good way to do it. It gives people in the community, the adults as well as the kids, an understanding of what a gem we have here in this little water district. It's not something that everybody has. Other people have for-profit or water districts that aren't run as well as this one is.
Okay.
So,
Cheryl, I'm gonna need to ask you to wrap up. I see
Okay.
that your 3 minutes
okay,
have lapsed, so.
okay, all right. I don't think we'll be giving money away. That's not the point of the grant. It's to provide education as part of our mission. And one of the things that we have done in the proposals, in the request for proposals, is to make sure that they all have measurable outcomes. So you'll know what you're getting for your money. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We have other members of the public. Go ahead.
Get set, go.
Hi, I'm Shelley Canton. I'm a retired nurse out of Bend, Lomond, and this is a new foray to me, vampiric. I love this word. I don't like how it applies though. I feel that it's important because I've watched my grandchildren learn from science camp what we need to do. I also feel this is part of succession planning. As a nurse, I did many hats, and that included education, succession planning and training our nurses, healthcare techs. And you know, I talk about healthcare, but it has the same crossover. You need to be getting the information out so that the new generation can come in and start to take the reins. Are you planning succession? Are you planning succession? Are you planning? Are we all planning our succession? I'm retired. I'm still planning my succession. I think it's important that we need to make sure that the pipelines of what we do and how we do it, that you multitask. Yes, the equipment is so important. I see that for the tanks, but by the same token, for your infrastructure, you need an infrastructure that you can educate your community. Hence, community outreach. As nurses, the healthcare system, we've had community outreaches. How do we bring in new people to understand, go, I want to do that. Like I said, my grandsons attend San Lorenzo Valley Elementary. They love science camp. They love learning about it. Succession planning, $2,000, 2,500. I think what we need to have is the as Cheryl had said, we need to have the solutions. I think what would be fun is to bring those children in to give a report out. I think that's what's been missing. You haven't seen their excitement, what they've learned. Maybe that's part of our outcomes, is to bring them in. That class presenter and teacher, that's how we do it. So I feel that we should be tapping into these other modalities so that we can really engage our community and bring it in as part of your mission and vision, because that's essential, that it be your mission and vision. It also needs to be a part of community outreach, and community outreach is reaching out. And there's going to be a cost to that, whether it's I'm going to walk around and I'm going to use my steps, or I'm going to donate, however that is, but I don't think it's been fully vetted about what you can pull in. That's it. I think I've done my 3 minutes, haven't I?
Yeah, 22
I have
seconds.
some to spare. Would you like my phone?
Okay, thank you, Shelley.
You have 3 minutes.
I know the deal here.
Because I know.
My name's Bruce Holloway, and I'm from Boulder Creek. I think the word grant says you're giving money away. So I think you gotta change that word, get rid of it. Just call it requests for proposals. This district often does requests for proposals, and this is just another example of the same thing. I think I'm not sure about the word watershed. The watershed goes up to Empire Grade, goes up to Skyline Drive, goes all the way down to Santa Cruz, and it goes east beyond Branciforte Creek, which probably gets you to the Soquel Creek recycled water treatment plant. So all 4 of the big water districts in this county can be said to be in the watershed. But what happened before, I remember hearing Santa Cruz students were being taken up to Loch Lomond for a tour. Loch Lomond is a Santa Cruz water project. So this district was paying for Santa Cruz kids to go to a Santa Cruz water project. So maybe instead of watershed, maybe it should say district. Make it clear that we're really interested in SLB Water District and not City of Santa Cruz for this money. The Valley Women's Club is running an educational grant program right now. They're open for business. They're accepting applications. There's a deadline in a month or so, and they have a committee all eager to go, handing out their grant money. So one thing you could do is just give $2,500 to the Valley Women's Club and let them run their grant program. Because I'm very concerned about staff times here. It sounds like a lot of staff time has gone into this already. And I'm absolutely in agreement with Director Fultz. This district needs to be focused on infrastructure. Got to get that Peavine pipeline built in 2026. I don't want to hear that slip another year. So I'm very concerned about the cost. The cost of the staff time is potentially equal or greater to the money that you're actually doing. The district is already gouging our school district by charging $2 more for industrial connections than for a commercial connection. I don't understand that. I don't even understand who the constituency was for that, because I don't know any business people that think that they need to pay $2 less than the school district. I don't know anybody. So I don't know who the constituency was for that. And there's only one director remaining that voted for that rate plan. 3 of the 4 directors that voted for that have gone. So I think rather than do this, you ought to just say the schools can be on the commercial rate. The schools take 9,000, they use 9,000 units a year, and $2 extra is it's pretty darn close to 17.5. So this proposal is really take with one hand, masticate it a little bit, and spit it back out as something restricted to watershed education and not general education.
And Mr. Holloway, I see that your time is up also. So thank you. Thank you.
Evening, board. Thank you for the opportunity to address you tonight. My name is Jim Mosier and I'm from Belton, California, for ratepayer. And I'm speaking on behalf of the Friends of San Lorenzo Valley Water. We are an all-volunteer citizens group, and our mission includes promoting public awareness and understanding of the water-related issues in the San Lorenzo Valley, with a particular focus on the protection and enhancement of our precious San Lorenzo Valley watershed. Now, I agree that addressing infrastructure upgrades and repairs is a very high priority, but protecting the SLV river watershed remains also a top priority, and the long-term commitment to health of the watershed should be addressed concurrently with the infrastructure priorities. We cannot have safe, reliable, affordable water without a healthy watershed. The watershed education program served numerous important roles for the district during its long history with the district. It brought attention to the importance of watershed health and maintenance. It encouraged collaboration with diverse organizations in the valley. Perhaps most importantly, the program highlighted the role of the district in the community, engaging ratepayers in district priorities and activities, and educating our constituencies regarding the district's commitment to safe, reliable, affordable water and a healthy watershed. It served both public relations and community engagement functions at a very, very modest cost. So our group supports the staff's and administration committee's proposal to restart the program with a small seed grant, as Chris suggested, as a means to get the process started and to see whether we want to continue it and expand. I believe it's disingenuous for Director Fultz to say that this program was not popular in when it was thrown out by the 3 new board members who came in proposing to streamline the district and cut costs. The room, when it happened, was filled with people who said they wanted the program to continue. There were people who were, you can call them the insider crowd. I could call those who support Director Fultz's position as the insider crowd. In fact, there was broad support for this program from people who were not directly involved with it. It had a huge popularity among the teachers in the schools and among the environmentalists in our valley. This is an important constituency, and this is a program that will engage the community, something that is critical in order for us to continue to expect their support for the infrastructure project. So I urge you to vote yes on this. Thank you.
Okay. I see folks online that wish to comment also. Lee Summers, you have the floor. Go ahead, Lee.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thanks. So yeah, my name's Lee Summers. I'm from Boulder Creek, and I was a former commissioner for the Water District in reviewing the grant applications. I did that as a volunteer, and there were 5 of us that would review the applications and would recommend to the board who we saw as the best candidates. So we were basically kind of taking the brunt of the workload for the staff. Basically, all the staff did was, well, not all, but what they did is collect the application, send them to us. They tallied our numerical responses, and then they ran meetings. So I think this is a great opportunity for the district to, in a sense, kind of look at the grants as something a little bit different, not necessarily as a donation, but as Director Largay said, as an investment. I think that, if you look back at the last election, voters overwhelmingly voted against Measure U. They showed an understanding of the district's needs, and that understanding needs to be maintained. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens through education. And so this is something for the district to have an opportunity to maintain those open communication lines and to show your support to them, that you trust their judgments in voting. So that happens with back and forth with an education. I remember, going through applications where like Jane Orbuck would offer programs, we would usually offer her or recommend her programs with the Watershed Academy. It was right in line with what the Water District was, looking for in their grant program. Carol Carson offered watershed hikes to adults. She would hire experts in the field and lead hikes through through various open spaces. The Banana Slug String Band uses a completely different, not so much a left brain educational way of educating, of getting through to their audience, but using melody and lyrics to tap into a completely different part of the brain of their audience. And it's a very effective teaching tool that's used in many modalities. So I would recommend reinstating this program. It was a valuable program, and I think it can be again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Linda Skeff?
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Linda.
Hello. I would like to actually build on Jim Mosier and Lee Summers' presentations just now. I also was a commissioner for the last 2 years when these grants were being given to the community. And in those past years, the Water District contributed about $17,000 to local nonprofits and schools, funding environmental science camp and other community programs. These contributions did more than provide money. They boosted awareness of the district's role in protecting our watershed and building strong community goodwill. Redirecting funds as unrestricted gifts to schools, which has been suggested, removes the visibility. The district loses the chance for positive public recognition and a direct connection between the Water District's support and the benefits students received. A scholarship or grant application process ensures transparency, fairness, and accountability while highlighting the district as an active community member and partner. Keeping the program structured allows the district to leverage its contributions into lasting goodwill and visibility rather than simply writing a check with recognition. By keeping this as a scholarship and grant program, you not only help our students, you also help our community see the Water District as a trusted partner in protecting our watershed and our future. I'd also like to toe into some of what Director Largay said, in that this is a unique watershed. I lived over the hill and I didn't even know what our watershed was. And so many of us here live on seasonal creeks or running creeks that then run into the river. It's vast. And that education makes a huge difference in the contamination or lack thereof of the water that ultimately used from the surface water that we use. I would like to encourage this to not only go forward, but also that the amount be increased. The $2,500 offered is a small amount of money for the amount of time it takes to write the grant. And if you divide that between two, it dilutes it even more so. So thank you for your time.
Okay. That's all of the public members online that wish to comment. So back to the board. Further thoughts wrapping this up? Alina?
Yeah,
Any?
well, yes, yeah, I had wanted to answer Director Russ's question. I was kind of hoping that we do like 2 1,000s and 1 500, maybe something like that. And that small amount of money will kind of help test the need. And if we kind of need to move this back to a volunteer group that reviews applications, but for now we can reduce staff time by keeping this in the committee level. Also, like, I know we keep hearing that this paperwork, took a lot of time to put together. The paperwork was mainly there and we updated it. So I don't want to give this illusion that we spent all this time like drafting these brand new documents. A lot of this was already written and we just had to update that And then I do agree with what, what you said, Holloway, about it being in the SLV water district only. We did discuss that wording within the admin committee, and if that got lost and didn't put in there, our intent was that these would be awarded only within our district, to help us there. And then the last comment is that, if you want an example of a local water district that does this, there's plenty outside of this area, but Soquel Creek also has a very similar program. So that's final thoughts.
Okay. Brian?
I guess what I would say is that I would just reiterate that this is cheap investment and in many ways far more efficient than a public relations firm issuing glossies. I think that this gets right to the heart of the matter for a lot of community members. I think that one opportunity you might explore as you narrow the focus or provide guidance to applicants is having an emphasis on infrastructure. I know that there are a lot of community members, for example, who would be grateful to see district facilities and have tours and things like that, acknowledging that may present too much of a burden on staff. But if feasible, seeing district facilities is quite inspirational for folks because there's some pretty interesting stuff going on there. I just can't say enough how efficient and low cost and investment this is in the longevity of the districts, our resources, and it's almost as if denying this program is trying to diminish the image of the district in the face of the community, as if there was some advantage to have people have lower affinity for the work we all do. It's almost that odd to not invest in such a simple way to boost awareness and affinity. Those are my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. Director Russ?
Yeah, very.
Thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Interesting discussion. It certainly has made me aware of some other issues. And I guess just to emphasize some of the things that I've heard and that I would agree with, I would certainly want to minimize staff time and and to take full advantage of the committees and volunteers. And I think you already sort of made that position as well, Chris. So I get that. I actually do look at this as an investment, and I don't think it's, and I certainly appreciate the idea of the proverbial camel's nose under the tent. That this isn't something that in 10 years, it shouldn't be $250,000. And so I think it just has to be managed, and we have to every year have metrics that we're measuring it, and really to see measurable results, and then determine is it worth continuing, and at the next budget cycle, is it worth increasing it or just keeping it at that level, or if it's not really doing what we think is useful for the community and for our mission, then being open to the idea of letting it go. But I'm with what I've heard, I'm still in support of this this motion.
Okay. Director Fultz?
So we've completely sort of ignored the fact we have an ordinance 100, which covers grants. Are we going to operate under that ordinance or not, given that these grants we're talking about are specifically talked about in Ordinance 100? I don't know how we can address this without addressing Ordinance 100 in some fashion. So I mean, if we have to find some way to force the district to live up to its ordinance, now that I know about it, we'll need to do that. Okay, so, and there's a whole infrastructure around that ordinance that needs to be addressed, which has not been addressed in the proposal that's in front of us, not to completion. That's number one. Number two, historically, when you look at who got the grants, yeah, there were people that supported it because they were the ones benefiting from either the process or the money. It was the same people almost every year. there wasn't this huge sort of, we're going out into the community and with 17,000 somehow cutting through all of the noise that's out there. And if you think you're going to educate the community on $2,500, I want whatever it is you're smoking, because that ain't happening. You're basically going to wind up benefiting a few people, just as what happened in the past. And interesting, Brian, you should talk about it, because as one of the last things, I guess it was the final watershed report in 2018, one of the coordinators on it was Hildy Largay. I don't know if that's a family member or not. Yeah, so I mean, Brian has some direct experience with it.
Oh, I have extensive experience. I actually was on the board of the Coastal Watershed Council for many years.
I mean, so
My
basically,
wife doesn't work for SLE anymore. and it's not in
I
a
get
position
that.
to
All I'm
apply for
saying is that
grants.
there is a
I'm not sure what
insider
you're
crowd
applying.
that funds this thing, that wants to see this thing funded, that supports it, and it's the same people over and over again. Now, there were no metrics before. I don't see any metrics in any of the information that's in front of us here, other than sort of this hand waving that we might actually develop some. Well, great, develop some and then bring it back. Make it a better proposal. Because without those metrics, this is going to devolve into what is the least, the path of least resistance. We're going to give money. And we're going to give money away. You talk about how much support there was in the community. I can tell you there was a huge amount of support to terminate these things because of the fact that we are giving money away that we don't have. So I appreciate your thoughts on this, Bob, but this is a bad road that you're going down.
I do want to ask about this ordinance that you're citing, Bob. Is that
Ordinance 100, I got a copy of it from,
but whose ordinance is that?
that's the San Lorenzo Valley Water District,
Okay.
ordinance number 100.
Okay,
Subject, Education Program Advisory Commission, out of which it talks about the grants. We have a committee, we have all these other things. In fact, I think Lee and Linda talked about their participation on that. So if we're not addressing this, then we better recalibrate.
May I make a remark?
sure, go ahead.
I'm unfamiliar with ordinance 100. The only action associated with that I've heard is that there be a committee. I would propose that for the purposes of this program, the admin committee serve as the committee per ordinance 100.
You can't do that.
If I may, and we can ask Barbara if this ordinance exists and if that would satisfy the requirement of it.
It
Or
says
we can
specifically in
simply
here
remand
about how
that
it's to be
to staff and
put together.
have them.
I'd also like to hear
work
from
work
Barbara.
with them.
Any comment on this ordinance?
Yeah, I'm not aware of the ordinance, so I would have to take a look at it. I mean, this issue wasn't brought ahead of time in this meeting, so.
Mark, if I can help out a little bit here, we have, the way that these are appointed is each member of the board appoints somebody. That was also part of the insider trading situation. Because the people on the board at the time were all tied into the people that actually, it's all the same group. They just rebrand themselves over the years. There's officers they elect, there's meetings, there's a vacancy process, there's quorum. I mean, it's basically another committee that you're going to be running as a district. And we're going to be granting that to staff.
Could I provide a proposal? It sounds like this is related to a particular grant process that was made back in the day. Could we call this a new grant? And then it would not be subject to.
You still have to deal with the ordinance now that I know about it. This is still something we need to be operating under and address.
Where are you finding the ordinance, Bob? I cannot.
So what happened is when I heard about this, it sort of tweaked me that I remembered that there was this committee that did these things. So I went on the website, I searched under grant. I found a report that Jim Mueller, who was the general manager at the time, put together. It referenced ordinance 100. This morning or last night, I asked Jason for a copy of that.
Mhm.
I looked to see if it had been repealed. As far as I can tell, it had not.
Mhm.
So it's still in effect. It wasn't something that was actually brought to the attention of the board when I joined it as the governing document supporting that whole grant process. So when we terminated the funding, it just sort of went into, I guess, this limbo state. But now that I know about it and that we know about it,
Right.
it needs to be addressed. I mean, you can have your, I mean, you got 3 people, you can have your little grant program, but it needs to be addressed from a legal point of view.
I'm certainly comfortable with going through the procedural matters of addressing derelict ordinances from long ago. Cleaning up the files is a perfectly reasonable thing for this board to do.
And I think you need to talk about the process. I mean, if the admin committee is going to be taking that on, that needs to be something the board would add to their duties. There needs to be some way that that's going to get reviewed or audited, what have you. I mean, this whole, and whatever the metrics are, this whole thing is still I want to feel good. It's a feel good thing. But we haven't really thought through how you make this into a program, if that's really what you want to do, and therefore what the implications are on staff and how this is going to be perceived in the public by people who aren't part of the inside crowd that want the group. Because this is going to get out into the media, that we're now back to giving money away. And it's just the start. More money will be given away in the future for our staff.
Okay.
I move that the board approves the reestablishment of the district's watershed grants program.
I will second that.
President Smolley,
No.
Vice President Lane,
Yes.
Director Fultz,
No.
Director Largay,
Yes.
and Director Russ.
Yes.
Motion has passed.
Okay. Let's move on then. Consent agenda. Board meeting minutes. Our general manager pointed out to me earlier this week that I've been doing this incorrectly and that I should be taking a vote on any of the consent agenda items. I was incorrect in that. So anybody want to hold the board meeting minutes? Seeing none. Let me finish with this, Mr. Holloway. I want to recommend that the board meeting minutes be approved as stand. Does anybody want to second that?
I'll second.
Okay, but before we take a vote, I want to hear from the public on it.
Number 11 is about approving the minutes at the last meeting.
Mhm.
And it doesn't say what the vote was. There's a section in the Brown Act that says the board is required to report the vote when it takes action. So even if you're approving minutes, you have to say what the vote was. Now, what I think you've been doing is you've been saying without objection, the consent agenda is approved.
Yes.
Which I can't really find anything wrong with, frankly, right now. I mean, I might think of something later. But at least it needs to be in the minutes that was unanimous. And it's not in number 11. So I want to make sure that every time, I think this should be a duty of the district secretary to always make sure that the vote is shown for any board action. And that is one of them, and it doesn't say what the vote.
So to that point, looked it up. Anytime there's a consensus, it should be for the board to direct staff to do something. That's by consensus. Approving the minutes, approving the accounts payable is an action by the board and should be done under a motion and second and a vote. And the administrative assistant Leah has already been informed of this and will be, if it's missed in the future, we'll be bringing it to our attention.
Okay, all right. So we have a motion and a second?
Okay, so vote. President Smolley,
Yes.
Vice President Lane,
Yes.
Director Fultz,
Yes.
Director Largay,
Yes.
and Director Russ.
Yes.
Right, motion's passed.
Okay.
So you're not putting the vote in the minutes?
From the last meeting?
Well, just the fact that it was unanimous. It says the board approved it, but it should say unanimous.
We can amend the minutes.
District,
Last meeting.
yes, for the last meeting, because we did similar. And I, without seeing any objections, said unanimously passed. So moving on then to district reports of district finance status report. Do any of the directors want to question or comment on that? Director Foltz?
I just have a couple of items. On the grant revenue recognition, it says here, we recognize revenue when FEMA's amount is obligated. Given that the situation with FEMA, is that still an appropriate revenue recognition milestone? Because I think there's a greater than 50-50 chance that there's going to be a lot of cash that's been obligated and we're never going to see, or it's going to be so far in the future where we may have to sue to get it, basically through a class action or something like that. Any thoughts on that? Well, it's just a question. No answer required right now, but I think I don't want our finances to be skewed based on FEMA promises that are just not being delivered on right now. So that's number one. Number two is on the restricted cash accounts. We've got about $20,000 in the Lompico Assessment District. There's one remaining promise that we had made to Lompico as part of the acquisition of their district, and that was to replace service lines. We reneged on that promise and have never actually gone and done that for the 500 or so people that were in the Lompico district. Is any of that money, can any of that money be used to start fulfilling the promise that we had made to them as part of that acquisition?
I think that that's something, Jason.
Yeah, I can read exactly what the language of the assessment district says.
Yeah. There were 5 things, PRVs, tank, meters, service lines, and I forget what the 5th one was. And the amount that they assessed themselves included interest and an inflation factor to cover the fact that there was some uncertainty around, costs would go up over time. The fatal flaw was the board and the general manager did not take immediate action and delayed things for a couple of years. And so that's where money got weird.
That's all good. Anybody else?
If I may, when there is a service line that blows out up at Lompico, it's a full service line replacement back to the main. So if they have a leak between the main and their meter, they excavate the whole road and replace it.
Is that charged to the assessment district?
I believe so.
If I may. So the reason that the service lines were in the assessment district is that the lines were known to be defective material and that they were eventually going to blow out. So if you assume a random distribution of blowouts, 2/3 of them will happen during non-business hours, meaning our cost to replace goes up because we have to pay overtime and all sorts of things. And the disruption to people being out of water on something that we specifically know is defective. So the idea was fix them all, do it on a schedule that allows you to tell people when they're going to be out. So there's no surprise, but we reneged on all of that.
So they did replace all the PRVs out there.
They did replace the PRVs. We got the PRVs, the tanks, and the meters.
I think since they replaced the PRVs, the pressure system got more stabilized than it was before because none of the stuff was really working.
Yeah, service lines are still going to blow out over time.
We have money in the assessment district. We'll get a schedule going.
Yeah, take a look at that and maybe also, what I'm hearing from both Bob and Scott. What has the leak or blowout history been on this system? If we have that in our records. to give us a sense of how often is this happening?
I'm just providing a little.
Right.
Well, the main thing is I just like the district because we may have acquisitions in the future. I want the district to be known as keeping its promises.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Then, written communications. I do want to recognize the operations staff for getting another letter from one of our ratepayers saying, good job out there, folks. So good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesse.
Distribution.
And thanks,
Did a great job on that league.
and thanks to your staff.
Well deserved. Thank you.
Okay. All right. No informational materials with that. I think we can adjourn. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.